What I'm going to do in this first cutting step is start mitering the outer corners of our medallion. I reversed the board. Now I'm ready to make my miter at my opposite end. Now what I did over here is I took a stop block and I fastened it so my next plank will come out exactly the same as this first wall. So let's cut this board. Let's proceed with our second cut. What I'm up to here is that we're going to fasten these flats, and this is the part that's going to face the ceiling. We need to fasten in here, but we have to erase this seam here. We have to get this very, very tight. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drill some pocket holes through this way, and we'll penetrate this, this side wall so it pulls nice and tight. So let me bring the camera over. This is the same way I did it in the previous videos. We just clamp it down and we drill our pocket hole. And what that will do, that will draw the board in nice and tight. And we'll get them cut, and then we'll fasten them in. With my gauge block in hand, I'll just simply raise the wood up to the desired gauging, and just drive them in, and that will drive this board in nice and tight. Let's get another guy here. Okay, and we can move over here, gauge it here. Once it go down a little bit, okay, move our gauge block over here. That draws it in nice and tight. I just wanted to show you this seam, how these pocket screws drew it in very tight. So this is what we're looking for, a nice tight seam like that. So when it's finished, there's no gapping. We don't want any gapping on it. Pretty good, huh? So, and them screws, they just draw it in. They just pull it right on in. Okay, let's move on, and we'll start putting our inside perimeter in, and then we can work on some moldings. Now the outside, as I mentioned, we're going to do a crown molding, and that's going to be dropped down so we can put our lights up in there. The inside, I'm just not sure how I want to do it, but I will guarantee it, it'll be very attractive. Well, our construction is pretty well finished. at this point. As far as the frame goes, I still have to do the moldings. I sanded the boards before I put them in twice. Anyway, we have our construction inside, and everything's tightened up pretty good. I'm happy with the joints, the way that they came out. So, what do you think? In this step, I stood up the medallion, and we want to start doing an inner perimeter molding. So I decided to take these two pieces of molding, and these are just little samples just to give you an idea what I'm up to here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pack it out, and I cut some 3/4 inch plywood stock. So we'll set that there, and then I want to take one piece of molding and line it up there, and that will be 3/4 of an inch off. And we'll take this other piece and we'll put it right in there like that, and I think that's going to make a nice profile for the inside. Now, whenever we do these, we always leave a nice space here, and then on the other side our crown molding will start right about 2.5 inches from the bottom. So I already have these 3/4 inches strips cut, so I'm going to start tacking them in, and then we can start mitering our molding. Now, to give you an idea what this is looking like, very nice. It's always nice when you stack up moldings like this. So it gives it a really, really nice profile. And look at that. Isn't that beautiful? So we will move on to our outside crown molding. And again, we're gonna keep it at the perimeter, the bottom perimeter, about 2.5. I flipped the medallion over so the bottom side facing the floor is facing downwards, as if it was installed on the ceiling. So I can proceed with putting our crown moldings in. Now, what I did is, when I made the crown moldings, as you've seen, I made these crown moldings thicker. Okay, I want them to be thicker than usual. So these crown moldings are, and this bottom one I'm referring to is 1/13 of an inch thick, and the other ones that I installed in the room are at 5/8 of an inch. Okay, now the reason I want these crown moldings thicker is because on our medallion, now you remember, they're not going to touch the ceiling. We're going to have a space, okay, and that space is going to allow the track lighting to come out. All right, we want that light to filter outwards. So with that said, is that I'm going to attach the crown moldings, but the top of it won't be attached. Okay, so I want a stiffer crown molding. So by doing that, I don't have to worry about these crown moldings flexing over the years. They'll stay permanent. Okay, so let me proceed and set the camera up, and I have the jig set up for my crown molding, and we'll start cutting them now. What I'm doing here is I'm going to place my molding in so I can get a pencil line on it, but I have to measure it a little bit more than what it is. So if this is 71 inches from tip to tip, I have to make it about 1/8 of an inch more, about 71 1/8. They have moisture in them, and when they get to the project site, they're going to dry out and they're going to shrink a little bit. So I have to add a little bit more to it so our miter seams don't open up, and that will take care of it. Okay, looks good. So now we'll install it. We'll tighten up these corners now that we have them all secured up on the low part of the crown molding. So now we'll get the tops. We'll just even this out. Now there'll be a little bit of sanding required. I just want it, it's all lining up very nice, but we want to get it just a little bit tighter by sanding it. We'll just put some pins in here and tighten that up. Okay, and we'll move on to the next one. Now I left a little bit of a void up in here. Now that's done intentionally. I'm referring to this gap here. Now we need expansion and contraction, and if I make these joints real tight up against these walls, what will happen is that this molding will shrink just a little tiny bit, and it's going to open this gap up, and I don't want that. So we have to do it like this. Okay, so now I'll proceed and I'll start doing the rest in and then start sanding it in and blending it. Running a little bit low on nails, or pins I should say, and these are very nice pins. This is something like you would sew it. It's a very, very tiny little pin. See if I can break one off here. Actually, that's two. Now, and it's just a little tiny pin. See if we could zoom in on it. Something you would sew it, okay? And actually, doesn't have a head. And you're supposed to drive them in on an angle a little bit so that they, they can't pull out straight. The angle would hold it from cavitating outward. But there's no head, and it does a great little job. It's just a tiny little bit of a hole in the molding, and just works out well. So I like using this gun. And then we'll go around, we'll glue them up. So right now I want to add some nails to my gun here. So it has little arrow indicators, and that would be straight up. Okay, we'll slide that down. And can we get that one in there? We'll break it. And we'll make that one fit. Okay. That's all it is. Okay, and now I'll proceed with my nailing. After about an hour and a half of sanding, I'm about ready to flip it over and start applying the support underneath here. We got to put a support here. So remember, it's just held in with little pin nails right now. So I want to glue a block under there, and this way we don't have to worry about it moving. So it looks very nice, don't you think? It came out really nice. I like the corners. They're done nice. It has a nice dimension to it. And this is based on the means ratio, or the golden rectangle. And this is a perfect fit for our ceiling. So I'm going to get to work here and start getting this flipped over so I can start gluing those blocks in and tightening the underneath of our corners up. We don't want them ever moving. Yeah, I just seen this book, and it's just it's a book without a name on it. I've never seen a book like that. But closer inspection, it's a drawer in there. Isn't that neat? And when you turn it over, it won't open. This is actual pages. And it's got a little drop down locks. And it's the inside. Nice, huh?